Good evening, everybody. Nice to say hello to you as we approach May. We just have had the Mass a while ago. It's the Vigil Mass, but you have to look at the summer which is coming on. The weather, unfortunately, is not very good here, and I notice with the cuts of the government have really cut the nail in. I wonder if McNoolan has enough heat tonight. Just wonder. I'd like to say a few things now, words. I was just looking the other day and I was speaking to a farmer, having a meal with a farmer in a senior venue where senior citizens go. And the farmer explained that he has a new car, fair play to him. It's a Merc, 3-year-old. And yet, I says, it's a disgrace on the road at the chat at the dinner, which I'm not afraid to be outspoken. It's a disgrace when you go to the road, a £75 tax on a tractor can block you and holding you up. And if I was building a tractor or a small carpenter even, I would be paying £330 on my vehicle, any vehicle to drive to my job. And I'd have to put in diesel at the full price, white diesel. But the farmers, as we discovered in the chat, making it simple again, that they are not paying full price of subsidised diesel, yet there's plenty of money flashing around. I don't know any poor farmers. A very small farmer like they have another job. They're getting free diesel. They're also like free of tax, which is a disgrace. I also feel that the people with disabilities also getting their concessions could be looked at. They're very big. For cars, giving free fuel and all that. That could be looked at. I'd also like to say that another thing the government could look at, it's taxing bicycles. Dundalk is a mess with bicycle lanes, and they're not paying any tax, just blocking the road up. I do feel it's very unfair that people with an older car have to pay on admissions. I see that admission thing, a low admission thing, it's only way of getting more money. I feel that's a disgrace. It should be addressed. So there's many other things could be addressed here in Ireland. A rural dweller needs a car, and because most services are moving now to towns, like for example post offices, and not alone that, but shops. You have to go miles to get to a shop. So the rural dweller is suffering a lot. Now people in towns, they can just go out with the wand and they get around fairly handy. So these are all things the government must look at. The broadband, we all know, is not very good. It's not bad, but it's not great. For a business it wouldn't be good enough, I'm told, like for modern businesses. So we need to do something about that. Now I'm just going through a kind of a brainstorming idea when I'm thinking. When I spoke to that farmer, I realised, I said this tractor blocker, oh, he said that's only agricultural tractors and business. Just why are they not taxed the full? Why is a small builder or businessman have to pay full tax for a van? And if he's not registered for VAT, he'll have to pay it on a car or whatever he has for taking his items to his shop. The bookkeeping here with being in DC has got really ridiculous, because it costs too much to start in it in the small. It's only it suits the big. They can afford top accountants and get the money down to nearly zero in tax. So there's a lot of things this government needs to look at. And I don't think that a government as we have, fair play to them, I'm not going to say anything wrong. I can't see them agreeing to make these necessary changes. We are in a republic. Another thing I need to say, we have an election coming for the United Kingdom to say they're going to leave the EC, which I am outspoken, would say I would leave the EC if it was Britain. I studied in Britain. I'm from Ireland, okay, right? Or Great Britain I studied in. That's Scotland and Wales. I've been in different universities. And England, Northern Ireland. Now, I see they are getting out of the Troika. We joined, I'm going to not talk bull, I'm going to talk fact. We only really joined the EC because England, the UK was joining. So therefore, we must be prepared to get out of it. And I do feel that a referendum should be taken. And maybe it could be put conditionally. If Britain leaves, we're going to leave. You want to be on the ball. Too far behind. I think too far ahead. I've been speaking of hydropower here about 15 years ago, and people thought I was mad. Everything I do, unfortunately, I think very far ahead. And we have one. I'm looking at one here beside me, where they do all the designing for the hydro equipment. Open hydro. Very good. So we have to move with the times. So we're going to have to get out of the EC. If Britain pulls out of the EC, we're going to have to make some arrangements to work with Britain. Whether the new structure comes in Britain, you'll have a government in England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. That type of structure has to work. The other structure of the EC is too big. There's too many vultures, I call them, in it, and too many guys that knows how to steer in between the loopholes and make a lot of money. And I often wonder, some of the government ministers, the Minister of Finance, he's a lot of investments, I believe. Good luck to him. But he's not paying anything to the Irish Exchequer out of him. Where are they? Now, I'm not saying that Britain is a saint, but by no means, but I do feel we've been trading with them. And we must start using our head, not tribalism. And we need to be working together. The British Isles is a good unit, because the Republic of Ireland can be overthrown. It's a very easy place to invade for certain world countries, not to mention, and you know who they are, and I'm not saying ISIS, in other countries. This is on the cards for invasion, because if you're taking over Europe, it's very easy to get into Europe from the Republic of Ireland. Our military equipment is very set. We're talking about water. Well, we are the water. The British put the water here, and we know we haven't bad water, fair enough. It's not. People didn't like the British in Ireland, said here. But there's a lot of people. There's two sides to every story. Every court in this land and port was built by the British. Maybe there have been Dublin ports modernised a bit, but where our good president lives, that's built by the British. You could look at it, they spent a lot of foolish money here, but then I am told at the time of the war in Ireland, they really wanting to get rid of all Ireland, but the Protestant people in the north kind of blocked that. Because if you look back at Churchill's papers, you'll find that he thought they were getting rid of all Ireland. You see? So you have to watch that. So before we are left out in the cold, we're used and abused now by Europe, and our voice is very weak in the DC. More countries coming in, cheaper labour, a lot of residents, a fair play to them, have to come here. But I think it's time we started thinking where our priorities really are. And that's staying and help for ourselves. Like charity starts at home. So we have to think in the British Isles, because many people went to England and etc. and Scotland for work. Wales too. Our village where I live is a Welsh design. So you take people as you find them. But capitalism has destroyed the world. I know you might say, what else can we put in place? But I'm just giving you food for thought, and the government can listen to, because Irish people are getting more educated now. There's none of this leaving and they can't write their name. Most kids would be having an even search. Maybe not them all, but a big population of people are having an honours degree or something, and maybe masters or whatever it is, So people is not dense like years ago. They don't believe in fairies so much here. So we need to get our act together, our government, the whole lot. And I do admire Paul Murphy, I admire Jerry Adams, and a few years ago I wouldn't, but I started thinking, I don't admire Fine Gael anymore, for the simple reason, the water charges, pull them down. I did say to Mr. O'Dowd that you'll be destroyed with water charges, he'll pull you down. Well, now we know they're not gone yet, but there'll be a fierce revolution on the cards here if we're not overthrown. in the heat of the thing. And if Britain do leave the North, we are in big trouble. And if I was in the UK tomorrow, I would want out of it, because I think it's 9 billion they're paying extra. If they leave, if the North becomes United Kingdom direct leaving Europe, it'll mean that industries will be tempted to go north. The cost of labour, overheads. Sadly, I see all this. It's there. You come back to me in a few years and say, Hynes, right, you weren't talking so much bullshit at all. That's what's going to happen. Now, we cannot survive by getting bigger wages in EC. It's getting wages down, and that seems to be very hard to do, because overheads and red tape of Europe, you get out. Pull the plug. So if Britain pulls the plug, we should have a conditional referendum put before the government, if any government men is listening to me, that it comes on very quick. If Britain is leaving the common market, we want to start negotiating. And starting a Fine Gael and being about negotiating an independence, we have to start thinking where our priorities lie. And that would be joining with the United Kingdom in a federation, because we trade together. We don't want to be dominated and colonised, all that thing. But we want to have our own parliament, and maybe a 32 county parliament in Ireland, and attached to the United Kingdom, because there's something about it. A lot of people got their bread and butter out of it here, and the houses we live in here was former British houses. The Carlingford, for example, was built by the British. So where do you go from there? So get that thinking cap on before you jump. And I'd like to be in control of our own destiny. But in Europe, you're certainly far from it. There'll soon be everything owned by foreigners. No harm to them. But it means that you'll have no freedom. Eventually, it'll become, the way it's going, it'll become more violent to people. The whole system. I can see people being put down the way things is going, the fall of religion and all this. There's a lot of hills to climb. So I would be voting hard to get out of the country and work. We can't live on our own, let's face it, but work with the British system, Commonwealth countries maybe. It's a good idea for thought. We can't survive in Europe. We're told too much what to do, too much red tape. Have a good think about it. God bless you all. Michael Des Hynes. Oh dear.